There was a time, not so long ago, when you used to talk about your pain, not to brag, not to manipulate, but because you were drowning and you thought someone might throw you a rope. You told them about the sleepless nights, the weight in your chest, the way your hands would shake before walking into a room, the way your dreams felt like they were slipping further every day. You told them about the job that was killing you, the relationship that was draining you, the family that didn't see you, the friends who only showed up when they needed something. You opened up, not all at once, but slowly, carefully, like someone handing over their last coin, hoping it would buy some mercy. And you waited for a text back, for a "I'm here," for a "you matter," for anything. But the replies were short or late or never came. And the more you spoke, the more you realized no one was listening. Not really. They heard the words, sure, but they didn't feel the weight behind them. They didn't see the cracks in your voice. The way your eyes would look away when you said, "I'm fine." The way you'd force a smile while your soul was screaming. And one day, not with a bang, not with anger, but with quiet clarity, you just stopped. You stopped telling them. You stopped explaining why you were tired, why you were sad, why you couldn't keep going the way you were. You stopped sending the long messages at 2 a.m. You stopped calling just to hear a voice. You stopped showing up with your wounds open, hoping someone would bandage them, because you finally understood something that changed everything. No one was coming, not to save you, not to fix you, not to tell you it would be okay. And in that moment, painful as it was, you were finally free. Because the second you stopped waiting for someone to care, you started caring for yourself. And that's when the real healing began. You didn't need their attention anymore. You didn't need their validation. You didn't need their pity or their advice or their half-hearted "I feel you." You needed action, your action. And so you began, not with a shout, but with a whisper, a decision, a choice, to stop complaining and start changing. You woke up the next morning and didn't tell anyone how hard it was. You just got up. You didn't post about your pain. You went to the gym. You didn't cry in front of your phone. You picked up a book. You didn't wait for someone to notice you were struggling. You started building a life where you wouldn't need to. And the most powerful part? No one saw it coming. Because you weren't doing it for them. You weren't doing it to prove anything. You were doing it because, for the first time, you realized, if I don't fix this, no one will. And that truth, as heavy as it was, became your fuel. You started saving money while they mocked your tight budget. You started waking up early while they laughed at your self-help obsession. You started setting boundaries while they called you cold or distant. And you didn't argue. You didn't explain. You just lived differently. Because you weren't trying to win their approval. You were trying to win your life back. And as the days passed, something shifted inside you. Not overnight, not dramatically, but slowly, like the sun rising behind clouds you didn't even notice were lifting. You felt stronger, not because your problems disappeared. They didn't, but because you stopped giving them a microphone. You stopped feeding your pain with attention, yours and everyone else's. And in the silence, you found strength. Real strength. Not the kind that shouts, the kind that stands. The kind that shows up when no one's watching. The kind that keeps going when no one says, "Good job." You began to realize that the loneliness you feared, the silence you thought would break you, was actually the space where you could finally hear yourself. For years, you had been screaming into the void, hoping for a reply. But the void never answers. It only reflects. And what it reflected back was not emptiness. It was you, the real you. The one who had been buried under years of seeking comfort. In the wrong places, And in that silence, you met yourself for the first time. Not the version you showed the world. Not the one who smiled when hurting. Not the one who said, "I'm good," when falling apart. But the one who was tired, broken, but still willing to fight. And that version didn't need an audience. It just needed to survive. And so you did. You survived the nights you thought would never end. You survived the calls that never came. You survived the love that wasn't returned. You survived the dreams that felt too far. And slowly, you didn't just survive. You began to rebuild. Not for them. Not for fame. Not for revenge. But for the boy who cried in his car after work. For the girl who deleted her photos because she thought she wasn't enough. For the man who apologized for existing. For the woman who stayed in a job that drained her soul. You rebuilt for you. And the more you built, the less you needed to talk about it. Because real growth doesn't announce itself. It shows up in the way you carry yourself. In the way you speak, calm, clear, unshaken. In the way you no longer flinch when someone tries to pull you back into old drama. In the way you walk into a room and don't scan for approval. You just are. And then came the day you ran into someone from your past. Maybe an old friend. Maybe a family member. Maybe someone who used to be close. And they looked at you and said, "Damn, you've changed." And you didn't brag. You didn't list your wins. You didn't throw their past indifference in their face. You just nodded. Because you knew something they didn't. The greatest transformation isn't seen in success. It's seen in peace. In the ability to sit in silence without anxiety, clawing at your chest. In the ability to wake up and not dread the day. In the ability to love your life without needing someone to validate it. And that's when it hit you. You didn't stop complaining because you were heartless. You stopped because you became whole. Because you realized that the only person who could truly save you was you. And that moment, the moment you stopped seeking comfort and started seeking change, that was the turning point. Not because you got stronger overnight, but because you finally stopped waiting. You stopped waiting for the apology that never came. You stopped waiting for the recognition you deserved. You stopped waiting for someone to notice your pain. And in that stillness, you found power. Not loud power, not flashy power, but deep, quiet, unshakable power. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything. The kind that just is. And to anyone out there still in that phase, still texting someone who doesn't reply, still crying out for help, still hoping someone will finally see you, listen closely. You are not broken because no one listened. You are becoming because you finally stopped expecting them to. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning. The moment you realize that your healing doesn't depend on their attention, that your growth doesn't need their approval, that your life is yours to build with or without them. And yes, it hurts. Yes, it's lonely. Yes, it feels like you're carrying the world alone. But that weight, it's forging you. Every silent morning, you wake up and choose yourself. Every night you go to bed without answers, but still keep going. Every time you don't text back. Every time you don't complain. Every time you just keep walking. That's where greatness is born. Not in applause, not in likes, not in recognition, but in the quiet moments when you choose yourself over comfort, growth over pity, truth over noise. You don't need their ear to heal. You don't need their voice to guide you. You just need one decision, to stop waiting and start becoming. And when that shift happens, when you stop complaining because you realize no one is listening, that's not defeat. That's freedom. That's the moment you take back your power. And one day, someone will look at you and wonder how you got so strong. And you won't tell them about the nights you cried. You won't tell them about the messages you deleted. You won't tell them about the pain. You'll just smile because you know the truth. The silence didn't break you. It built you. And if you're hearing this right now, if this found you in your loneliness, in your quiet struggle, know this: you are not alone in being alone. There are millions like you, silent, healing, growing, becoming. And this message, it's for you, for the one who stopped speaking so they could finally start living. So keep going. Keep choosing yourself. Keep building in silence. Because one day the world will see you, and they'll wonder how you became so strong. And you'll already know the answer. I stopped waiting for help. I started giving it to myself.